I got Wi-Fi back. I'm good for now. Okay. Okay, so I blabbered about the same stuff a little bit in the past like 3 videos now because it kept disconnecting me. So we're gonna move on. We touched on the fact that we're always okay as a spiritual being, and that is utmost to remember um, whenever we feel low, is that we're always fine and that things are happening exactly as they should. There are things we can do to expedite the process of the dark night, I realized. And I touched on that a little bit in my soul communication live, it must have been 2 days ago. And that's just figuring out how to deplete words and pictures and imagery from your healing. So there are some things that we literally cannot get down to a why or boil down to a philosophical why, and those are the things we kind of just need to release. And they'll loop back if there's a lesson still that we need to put into words, but we need to just let it go. And some things, I know I've been dealing with things that I thought were healed and I thought I'd processed and I thought were closed up, but they definitely are not to some regard. And it's things that, you might feel, humiliated, or you might feel like, oh, I backtracked, or why is that still there? Or, I thought, we're over that, but that's your human speaking. Sometimes the mind will tuck things back. And we get so good at, I know I personally can trick myself into anything I choose to, and sometimes that's a fantastic trait, and sometimes it backfires. So be careful you're not lying to yourself that you're okay with something that you're not, because that's going to create a huge blockage, and you're going to have to backtrack, like, in a layer. So you're going to have to kind of, like, peel off that top layer where we healed incorrectly because we blocked ourselves, based on our imagery, our belief structure currently, rather than leaving it open to conceptual healing or open to other opportunities that we didn't think we might enjoy. So attaching to any kind of expectation is going to keep your vibration low, just by the simple nature of attachment. Um, and it's when we start vibrating higher and higher and higher, it gets easier to recognize these negative energies and patterns, and it's easier to avoid them. Um, Now, certain people we encounter are better at hiding toxic traits than others, and that's where the real test comes in. Is some people that raise in vibration and awareness do not always maintain good choices. And sometimes those people really throw us for a loop. But in our own state, we can soak up some of these things from other people, and it may not even be our real emotion. So we have to be aware that sometimes the things we're feeling are not truly our energy. And as an empath, I think that's one of the hardest things to realize and to cope with and to then purge, is when you start experiencing these intense emotions, is identifying, is this even me? So I channel a lot of people. There's a lot of people I love deeply, that I'm not in physical communication with, but I still experience visits from their high self and their emotions, if I am a compatible channel at that time. Like, if my cup is overflowing and theirs is not, I will realize that sometimes I will feed through other people's emotions, but I have trained myself to pick up on when it's myself and when it's excess energy from my own personal web. And that's why you got to be careful, and you have to know how to block, because sometimes those energies, like, regardless of whether, like, they're intentional from your, you don't always choose to channel them, and they don't always choose to move it to you. It's vibrational. It's up. It's up in a different realm. But there's stones that can help with that, and sage can help with that. And I talked a little bit about setting up visuals and astral to help you clear your cords and keeping a clean energetic field. And that'll all help you navigate what's your true energy and what's your true karma. A lot of these people come from past life scenarios, so some of us may get Akashics in different scenarios where we've experienced these people before. We have to, and a lot of times a trigger of depression often is other people's actions towards us. And a lot of times their human is not even aware of all that's processing behind the scenes. So we have to be kind, we have to be understanding, we can't be angry at these people because we were drawn to them for a reason in the first place. It doesn't just disappear because they mess up. These are soul contracts we open up. These are soul tribe we're coming in contact with. Like, these are the people, like, we're meant to learn from, and some of that learning is painful. So we cannot nix, like, our connection with someone because it hurts in the end. And we cannot say, oh, I thought they were this or I thought they were that, just because it ends up hurting in the end. And then so many of us cling to these outer connections and lose track of our goal completely, and that's going to cause a state of depression as well, because you're not living your purpose. You are so caught up in the fact that your body is lonely, the fact that your human is lonely, the fact that you are lacking something, that you cannot even like progress on your primary mission. So when I like being as physically ill and having struggled with mental illness long term, um, I no longer see my daughter routinely because of my unpredictable seizures, and that is a complete mind fuck. That'll sink me faster than any thought. So I will convince myself I'm not a mom sometimes, and that's like one of the most horrid things for a mother to have to face. And it's like, but you have to loop back into the mindset that yes, you are. You still have to fight for this singular purpose. So what I had to tell myself is that my research has led to some beautiful things. My rabbit holes have really uncovered some amazing physiological elements that have not been really looked into yet. And I feel like that is my true purpose here, is to uncover these spiritual sciences that can change the human biology, like through a pill or through where Western medicine failed. If we can combine the two, the sacred geometry, if we can combine that. And so that's my goal. That's my mission. I suffer from a condition called Ehlers-Danlos, and my daughter is showing signs of it already. So if I cannot be in her life directly, goddamn, I'm going to cure Ehlers-Danlos for that little girl. She is not going to suffer like this. We're going to have something. I'm going to figure out my fucking self if I have to. And that, like, you have to find, like, whether it's just something you know, because right now, like, I can't work, I can't, the depression of knowing that I'm a monetary drain on my family, it's overwhelming. So if I cannot flip myself out of that mind state, I will indeed become suicidal. And I absolutely know that about myself. So you have to recognize, when you are sinking and what your points are, what your triggers are, when you're spinning and when you need to ground, and when you're becoming something other than yourself. And I started undoing my patterns by noticing my own energy signature shifting. So when I first grounded, I had never grounded my entire life. I had been dissociated until last year. And the moment of my initial grounding moment was so profound that it felt like I had suddenly began living the dream. Like a dream, when in reality, like your reality, like the reality all around me, I had just hit reality, but my perception of it was so new that it did not feel real to me. Because I had been so disconnected my whole life and never understood why, as I went through all these amazing experiences and learned these amazing things and these skills, and I pushed and pushed and pushed the human brain and my talents, and, of course I had a phase where that all dropped off, and we all let it die for a certain extent. When we truly lose ourselves, we stop creating, we stop playing, we just stop. We sit on the couch and we feel dead and drained, and we watch TV, and we just forget about the struggle. And that can go on for years, and some people it did for me. I used to weigh 232 pounds. I used to not want to get off the couch. I used to binge eat. I used to be anorexic. It's, we all hit these points, and if we cannot, some of these habits linger, but in a different way, they lose their strength, the more we find ways to replace them and replace those energy expenditures. All of us have some kind of bad habit that sticks around, whether it's cigarettes, whether it's, it doesn't, we all have our thing. So don't beat yourself up on it. Just try and moderate it. It's part of the human experience. Like, don't deprive yourself of certain things. Like, we're only here right now, this lifetime, one time. Like, don't deprive your human, but be smart about your choices. Make sure that they're for your own growth and that they're not hindering you if you're in a low phase. Like, if you have an addictive personality, don't let a singular dark night of soul phase completely wipe out your progress of sobriety. It's not worth it. That's where you maintain the awareness that you're gonna come up out of it as soon as the natural energy of the collective shifts. So you are not the only one low. Yes, someone over here might be happy. They have a different astrological sign. They have different magnetic rotation. They have a different energy composition than you do completely. They have a different energy signature structure. They have different subconscious binary habits. So I break down, and this is a very new concept that I've been looking into with a few of my friends. As children, when we're being taught love and improper love, we kind of binary code. Like 0 is like the God binary of proper love. This is how it's supposed to look with these words and this energy. And then if we're lied to, but we're still loved, but the words don't line up, it's going to line up as a 1, which is kind of the man element. So we get our own kind of like human processing and human computer based on our examples as children and the words versus energy and patterns we receive and how full our childhood cup is able to become at that age. So when our cup starts running empty from an early age, we get stuck in that binary pattern trying to refill and refill and refill, and it's not going to work like that. And that's where you see like chronic dating, you see like chronic this or chronic that, or and depending on the state of self, it can go inward. And some of that inward, as well as outward abuse, can turn into chronic illness, and it can turn into, everything I'm dealing with. They actually tied narcissistic abuse to fibromyalgia, which goes back to the disruption of energy flow in the muscular structure, and it tightens up those that cellular capacity to be pain-free. So, in all disease, cancer, fibro, all of it, Morgellons, if you've dug into the chemtrail and the Morgellons, I'll definitely touch more on that, but you have to be very careful. I'm sure anyone on the trail knows that if you've gotten that far. But it's all purged with the same basic principles, which is cleansing energy, alkalizing the body, and you can fix not only physical ailments through these detox process, but emotional. And the tie, I talked about this again in another video, and it'll come up a lot because it's how I really started my journey, is histamine detox. It is the neurotransmitter, and it has an emotional as well as a physical effect. So we get stuck in these histamine loops. And what tied me to what pointed that out, it was amazing. I had started a histamine detox. I did a 7 or 8 month histamine detox, lost my ability to eat everything, as it slowly decreased my tolerance, and I had to build it back up. But I had seen that it could reset your fibro and your immune conditions, and I'm like, you know what? Okay, like I've done fasts. I was a sports science major. I was a personal trainer. Like, I've done this kind of stuff. Let's do it. Like, I can handle this. Like, we have the willpower to do this. Let's do it. So I did it, and in addition to the Reiki, of course, I hit my physical and mental lows still, and every time I hit those, I'm like, it's not working. But it's we cannot forget that we're always going to dip and we're always going to come up, no matter where we're at. It's never truly going to level. So just ride the waves through it. Just keep reminding yourself you're fine. It's just purging. You're only seeing these images because they need acknowledgement. You're only feeling these things because you have deep energy stored that needs to come out. And like the whole of Earth is rising. So of course you're going to take your portion. Just some of us have larger pieces of cake to eat, or to, to expend, before we're in our best state. If you don't eat enough cake, then maybe you need more cake. If you eat too much cake, you're gonna have to burn off some cake. So it's just like the cake is our emotional, like, our emotional structure. Like, we all have one big ass cake of Earth, and the cake has to get finished one way or another, and none of us can be obese or, starving in the end. So take your piece of cake, like, do what you gotta do with it, but all this energy is going away one way or another. So take your share and stop bitching about it. Like, you have your share for a reason. Don't adopt other people's shares of pain. Don't try and, like, help people who, like, it's, as an empath, you want to help everybody, but you have to understand that certain people, unfortunately, are put here to die at a certain age. They are put here to suffer a certain path. They are put here, to suffer their own pain. So if you soak that up, you're not only damaging your own path, but you're also taking away from their experience. So when we go into learning Reiki, that's something that's discussed, is that you cannot alter who's going to die, but you can make it more comfortable. You cannot alter someone's true pain path, but you can make it more bearable, and you can expedite their karmic release, because that's the true purpose here. So it's all about purging, and this is the final life before the final earthly ascension. So of course you're going to get rammed with everything you have not cleared, and that your family has not cleared, and you're just going to be slammed into the ground, making sure that you clear everything that your past selves, as well as your physical bloodline, for like both the optogenetics and physical DNA genetics, are clear and crystalline and perfect for ascension. Like, you are decarbonizing not just yourself, but your entire genetic family line from this life, your mom, your grandma, your dad, all of those, like, inherent genes that lead us from one physical place to another. But you're also clearing the past selves, where the optogenetics that tie into our light body and our physical body. We have one of each. Our helix strand is light body and physical body. So do not neglect both clearings of genetic processes. And we hear a lot about, thank you, Loki. Sorry, I'm just reading your comment. Yeah, everything, it's just all these thoughts we get that might have been buried just rises again. And until we acknowledge it and say, you know what, thank you for the experience, but I don't need you anymore, it's going to keep happening. You know, if we block it, you know, it, just like a cycle with people or with the planets, we all cycle like, oh, look, you can see that planet or you can see that. It's the same with our thoughts. So occasionally they're going to disappear back here and then they're going to loop back around to the front. We're like, oh, hey, I thought you were gone. And then we're going to bury it again if we don't acknowledge it properly. So make sure you're saying hello, like, I don't need you, bye. Instead of being like, hey, go away, you know, and hiding it from yourself again. Those thoughts become extremely disruptive in our overall energetic state. We want to get a perfect flow. And the sooner you can clear everything, even just for an instant, you can memorize the energy signature of 0 point grounded energy. And from that state, we have the capacity to be absolutely anything. And the longer we can maintain that state, the faster we can revolve in our ideal reality in this field. But there's going to be blockages regarding money. There's going to be blockages regarding our worthiness of love. And until we can figure out why we do not feel worthy just for existing, we will always, always, always fall short of our manifestation. So we may get into our tower moments and our big moments, and we'll feel something. We'll feel it, and then we'll sink. And we're like, you know what, I can't do this. You know, I can't do this anymore. And that sinking and that giving up is going to ruin your entire manifestation. So it's really important that as soon as you start feeling that heaviness and you start feeling the thoughts like leaving your locus of control, that's your internal locus of control. There's a lot of theories on health development and health growth based on locus of control, internally and externally. What do we perceive we can control inside ourselves versus what do we perceive we can control externally? And that's, you know, we can get a big balance from those ideas and those concepts. But however, I leave signs for myself. So I have, you know, are you grounded? What are you manifesting right now? And I leave little notes throughout my house. Yeah. Yes. And talk through it. Like, it doesn't matter how crazy it sounds, talk through it. I can guarantee you someone in your web is going through the exact same thing and doesn't know how to say it or what words they're looking for. But it's these minute energy signatures that we will throw at other people, we can also learn to recognize in ourselves. And the sooner you recognize it in yourself, by God, you're going to see people pulling some slick shit on you. And I have a lot of friends come to me because they know I've struggled with borderline personality and they know I'm in remission and they know that I can recognize the manipulation tactics when we're seeking self-love. But it doesn't change that it's still manipulation, regardless of whether it's like a narcissist hiding their true self to maintain a powerful exposure. With borderline, we hide our true selves to show just because we're scared of abandonment. So you have to pay attention to not only how it's projected, but the intention behind everybody, because some of us truly don't mean to come off negative. We just don't know any better. And it's, unfortunately, these people have to be thrown into a state of loneliness and by themselves. And it trust me, it is, staying quiet is not alignment anymore. If we're not vulnerable, when we feel this darkness, we're never going to find other people who also need to talk to us about it. It's the true evil is going to show itself, but there's a lot of confusion intermittently. Like, there's the people who really understand and the people who really don't want to understand. And truly the middle ground is the scariest. Everyone who floats in the middle without a true, like, set of morality that they can, like, adhere to, like, in a cement, like, concrete physical structure, those people become dangerous, because if they can't ground or even recognize when they're ungrounded and behaving chaotically, those people are the ones that are really going to throw everything, not just on a political and worldwide level, but in our personal lives, are those people that kind of just float. And you'll know what I mean. They're like these. It's the ones who none of you, or if you're watching and you believe yourself to be a mid-level person, this is not an insult, but it's a call to action per se. Going back to one of those theories on human behavior, it's a call to action to build your morality and build it so strong that you're not scared, no matter what you face, to say, hey, no, that's wrong. And the more you can do that, the more you're going to actually combat your own inner depression, because the more we just sit silently and watch shit happen, the more we actually get depressed. And it's not so much because of what's happening, but it's that energy we suppressed, when we should have not. So it's the moments we let pass by without saying something that block us just as much as saying the wrong thing. You know, a moment will only pass once. Don't let that person or that moment or that, you know, that ability to make a chance or make a change get away from you. Having the strength to stay silent and know when to stay silent with poise and tact, as well as when to speak up and when to be harsh and when to be aggressive and who with. All those lead to your energetic state. So I don't hold on to anything, like, unless I know that it's potentially me lying to myself. I do not hold on to my emotions. I will tell everybody exactly as I feel it, how I feel, unless I know that I might be tricking myself, because if I do speak that at that moment, then it impacts another person's life. And people make decisions based on how honest we are with each other, and that's where we start feeling used and betrayed. Is if we were not given honest communication to base our own energetic expenditure on. So just be mindful, like, don't speak ahead. There have been people that I care greatly for, that I trust that this is how they truly felt, but they did not think ahead, to their ability to maintain, that energy expenditure and that pattern. And that's what I look for in a meaningful relationship or a friendship or anything, is the consistency between the words and that person's energy signature. And how genuine does that, because we know the truth. But sometimes the words will kind of like haze it out, because other people are not so secure in that forceful, not forceful, but that completely open, vulnerable conversation, because the rejection is too scary. So sometimes we get these energy signatures that we're like, this is right, I know this is right, why, what's wrong? What's wrong? Like, where's the issue? And it comes between the soul and the human. And it's an imbalance. And we have to remember that if we were all balanced through our humans, that it's all oneness. So there would be none of these individual connections and these flares and this chemistry physically. So we have to, accept that within each encounter, there's going to be, and it's very depressing, really, it really is. And that's part of the experience. And all these depressing attributes from other people, it's things that we need to realize have nothing to do with us, but they can't communicate it, or they don't feel it, or they don't have the words for it, or they just are so disconnected they don't even know, and they're just flowing. And then, you know, but it can be very damaging and very depressive to the people around us if we don't understand that in our own being. So just hold on to your own energy, do your thing, get your path on point, whether it's knowledge, whether it's a service, whether it's art, whether, whatever you do, whether you're a science person, whether you're a spiritual person, whether you're a blend, whether you're, it doesn't matter. Focus on you so much that you don't give a fuck what anyone else is doing around you. And it's like, oh, they'll be back when they're back, you know, unless they really do you wrong and be like, yo, you fucked up. You know, if they have a problem with it, go let them steam over there, and like, you steam over here till you're done steaming, and then move on. You know, they'll loop back if they're gonna loop back. Like, stop putting so much pressure on other people. It's not only depressing them, but it's depressing you. It's adding to their anxiety and their energetic input the more you focus on them and the fact that they haven't talked to you, or vice versa. So don't push energy on other people. Know how it feels when your energy is in your own body. Don't let it drift without your consent and your say so. Don't put that on other people. Some of us feel it, and all of us feel it, whether we know we do or not. It's vibrational. So you're pushing those, whether it's like, if you're mad at someone, they're going to feel that to some extent. It's going to disrupt their flow. So, like, unless it's something that, you know, truly needs cleared and truly needs handled, but that's, you know, use your own discernment. Like, don't let your own emotions and your human egoic, anger or passion, or don't let that thrive on the little pieces of, like, fucking someone over. Like, that's not healthy. But if you have an excess of energy, make sure you channel that somewhere. Just be smart. Like, balance it. Like, even if it's dark energy, like, do not, like, plow into it without realizing that there is no dark without a light. So don't just plow through things. Like, I know we say things, and sometimes we say them to the wrong people, we can't take it back. But just try and stop those habits. Like, you'll start pegging, if you pay attention to the energy before you even get a thought process, before you even speak, you'll get a specific energy, and you'll know, like, that's anger, or you'll know, like, that's gonna get me in trouble if I don't shut that down. Now, sometimes it won't go away, and that's when you know you need to either meditate and shove that shit up in astral around. You need to go punch something, you need to go punch a bag, you need to go for a run, you need to go listen to some music, you need to go do something, like, humanly aggressive, maybe slightly risk-taking, but be smart. You know, some of us are just like that. I know I am. Like, so I have to be really careful about how I expend, because the high energy, if it's not dealt with properly, it can be very aggressive. I did martial arts for a very long time for a reason, which, by the way, I highly recommend. Any kind of martial arts, to aid you in your energy exertion and control of energy. It's a very, especially the slow styles. I do Ip Wing Chun, and I did a lot of Kempo and Jukado through the years, but they all have their own lessons. I prefer traditional styles because the flow aspect and the patience and but it's not, depending on your lifestyle, it may not be what's right for you. But I do highly recommend it as getting a way of getting control of your human, not only proprioceptively in your physical surroundings, controlling where your body's at in space, but also controlling the energy that goes through your body. We all see these fighters and how it's channeling. Everything great is channeling. It is not that person. Anything great that a human can ever achieve is not them. And the more we want to assign credit to that ability, the more we decrease our own skill. Because when you hit a certain level, and that's the humility, is where it comes in. When you hit a certain level, you're like, yes, I put this time in. No, I don't need to talk about it anymore. And that's when you know that you've not only hit a point of security within your physical self, but you've hit a point of security within your soul, knowing I got this and I don't need to flaunt this, and people don't need to know this about me because it is just part of me. It is just me. It is who I am. This dedication, this skill, this whatever I'm investing in, I no longer need to talk about because it'll show when it needs to show. And that speaks of a clear channel. That speaks of a balanced ego. That speaks of a soulfully guided experience. So keep that in mind whenever you're choosing how to deal with this, and how to look at your habits, your hobbies, and what can you use that you enjoy, and apply a separate intention, because that's all you need to make it magical. Apply your intention to whatever your human hobby is, and watch how fast it changes. Watch how much you've trained your human for that you can utilize your soul through. Because once we program our human in a biological pattern, channeling a soulful element becomes much easier. Whatever it is, drawing, fighting, music, once you've trained your human, you just need to learn to meditate into it, and you're going to make magic. And that's really where true happiness comes from, is just seeing everything you fought so hard for, and it doesn't even matter anymore if anyone else enjoys it. There's no longer a heaviness of wondering who's going to like this and who's going to watch this and who. It just, when you channel that passion through yourself that you have spent years on, and suddenly it works differently. Suddenly it works like you see everyone. Suddenly you make it look easy. It is worth every single tear, and it's worth every single tear forward, because it's going to pull you out of the darkness, and it's going to be worth every single moment that you invested in your human time, and suddenly it's all going to make sense. And the pieces are just going to come together, and you need to hold on to that whenever you hit your dark nights of soul, and you need to just keep pushing, and you need to utilize these things that you've trained yourself for, and teach yourself how to apply channel and pattern and spirituality to these things, and really involve your craft and your spirit in everything you do. And that's how you manifest your destiny. As corny as it sounds, we all see that bullshit. But that's how you do it, is you apply everything you love, and you apply your soul to it, and you learn how to negate your human self from it completely, and suddenly you're just energy. You have a body, but you are no different than the wind around you or the energy. It is just flowing through you in a different way. You are the music. You are the dance. You are that form of art. You are not yourself anymore. Your edges are gone. You become everything that you are not, and everything all at once. When you learn how to channel, and it all comes down, like, you can even walk without your body. If you really learn, if you pay attention, like, we can waltz and pattern with the energy around us and completely take out our own physical self from it if we can find the right step. And that's how it all comes, is we take the struggle out if we can find the right steps, and if we can just flow. So life is just a dance, and sometimes we have 2 left feet. So I don't know if you want to chop that off or how you want to deal with that, but, just however it works in your perception, to just realign and step back into the waltz with Earth, and realize that we're all just here to flow, and there really is no purpose. The purpose is to realize that there's no purpose at all, and that our purpose is to just clear these energies that just cycle. So that literally the entire purpose of reincarnation, being here over and over again, is to just go through these waves, just up and down and up and down and up and down, and just tell a story with it. Like, what we do with the dark waves when we come back up is the entire story. So don't let your next dark chapter keep, like, what should be a comeback, like, in the darkness. Just tell your story, make it something to talk about. None of us know what the fuck we're doing, and if someone tells you they do, they're the biggest ones full of bullshit, and you should probably laugh in their face and probably flick them off or something dumb. Because no one knows what the fuck's happening. And if anyone can say they do, then I hope they get punched, because that's dumb. There are certain things that we understand completely in the human realm, just based on how it processes, but those things change even. Especially with the complete, like, cellular structure of Earth and densities changing at a rapid rate, and the entire perception of time. Is Monday even really Monday anymore? Is it just what our clocks kept counting to? You know, things are expediting and slowing down, so nothing is as it was, and things are constantly changing. So it might have taken 8 months in a previous human time might really be 8 months worth now, based on the rotation and the energetic flux. So don't assign so much. You know, just flow. Just stop taking everything so seriously. We're here to just be. If you're working and you're not off grid yet, just understand why. Like, if you really crave to be out of that environment, figure out how. Like, don't subject yourself to being stuck just because that's how you think it should be and how it has always been. That's going to depress the fuck out of your true self. So I'm going to hop off here, finish my beer that's probably nice and warm and frothy, after fighting with this for so long. But, let me know what you guys think. I'll try and come up with another topic soon. This went on a lot longer and covered, like, way more than I expected. I told you I'd get off topic. So have a good day, guys. I love you all.